Yo, what is going on, CoD Familia? It is your boy BN, aka Mr. Kingdom Builder, and in today's video we are going to be touching on this subject of one of the features coming in the latest update for 1.0.31 is the Nephisto killer nerf? We'll see. I think it's more of, as we talked about, top player killer nerfs for how they will now have to be more, one, I guess, active in general. Two, they won't be able to be as careless with their troops. And three, because of the fact that they will now be limited in, I would argue, a pretty big regard for those that have been utilizing this tactic, it could very well lower, even if just a teeny bit, their overall impact, therefore allowing for matchups to possibly widely change for how things can play out. So as always, if you enjoy the content, make sure you throw those up as we show you what is up. So if we go and we take a look at the most recent update, and then we'll go and we'll look at some wars possibly to kind of talk about this a little bit more. I'm going to skadoosh my face over here to the side. And this is the latest update, 1.0.31, Golden Autumn. If we go down to number 6, an even richer combat experience, and we click on or view number 3, it states, changed stamina consumption for heroes and war pets. If your legion does not launch an attack, but is routed by another Lord's Legion, this will cost heroes and war pets 10 stamina. Okay, now, I don't know if that means that they will also continuously drain stamina as long as they're out there fighting, or if it's just the initial 10 and then they go back and then it's the initial 10 again right when they come out. However, if we go, and just to kind of give you an example for some of you that are maybe wondering, okay, well, boss, why does this really impact? How major is this? Well, let's go and see if we can find, I don't know, anyone that's fighting right now. Let's see if we can find this one here, if there's some action going on. Okay, look at that. So could be some action going on. So the idea being, and I'll lay some groundwork here. Simply put, Nephisto and a number of other top players for a while now have been utilizing this tactic where you would have their marches sent out into the field. So let's say, for example, this person, Omar, is Nephisto. He sends his troops out here and just leaves them there. The other side, or the opponents, attack those troops, and the stamina is not drained. Meaning that Nephisto, in this case, could keep sending out, and we're using Neph as an example just to really kind of overly highlight the point, of course, is that Neph could be sending out his best marches for that specific situation over and over and over again, and yielding the best results, the best return on his fielding, on his investment. And because of that, it allows for players that have ever done that, and that maybe would have considered doing that before the update eventually will drop, I think in 2 days here on the 18th, if that's the date I can recall. It can very much create advantages out on the field. If you are always in a position to field your best marches at all times, then there's not really a lot of variance or fluctuation on your part, and you can also have massive impact on how a war is going to play out in the direction of a battle. And so, not to say that you are the sole factor, of course, but I'm sure anyone can make an argument for those out there that have done a substantial amount of PvP and you've gone up against top players, and we're talking high-powered players. Like someone who's 100 million power probably wouldn't really be in this situation to do something like this. But someone who's maybe 250 mil, 300 mil plus, you're more likely to be in a situation to utilize this. And obviously, as you only increase in power, it plays out to more of your advantage. However, what are the actual impacts that will be happening now once this update drops? And what do I think about it? Well, let's start with that. I personally view this as a win. I view this as a major W because the whole point of fighting and the whole point of a stamina system is that it forces you to use other heroes. It doesn't just limit you to being able to, regardless if you view that as a good or a bad thing, the idea is that that's how the system is intended. Is that because they have it here, it's once you drain your stamina and your usage of that hero out, or has gone to 0, then you have to go and select a different hero and or different pairings. And sometimes that may even factor into you utilizing other troops. And so on one hand, you can look at it as, from the developer standpoint, might just be, well, hey, this is kind of a cool thing because it's giving players an opportunity, even if it's kind of in a forceful way, to utilize different heroes, utilize different war pets, utilize different tier of troops and different march combinations. So that way you get to experience a little bit more of the game. However, we also understand that on the other side, there is this thing called a meta, and there's obviously lots of testing that goes into that, where particular troop types, particular march compositions for hero comps, artifacts, war pets are seeing or have been seen to have better results, whether that is in open field, if that's in rallying, if that's as you being a rally captain or a garrison captain. And so now we kind of get to what are some of the positives from this change. I believe that once this change comes in, as an example, someone like Nephisto won't be able to just sit there and go and utilize the same kind of top-tier, top-level troops as much as other top players who may have been doing this. And it will force them, it'll basically drain those heroes, I would argue, a lot faster, because if you're going from like no drain or no stamina usage to now stamina usage on every single march that goes out, and is that per engagement? Like I said, I would have been nice if there was some more details there on if there was actually like consistent drain of stamina, if they end up lasting for a while in the fight, or if it's just, hey, here's the one tenor, and then, or the tenor per march, and then, or I guess it would be per march per hero, and then, you know, they have to go all the way back and then come back on. It's a 10 again. Point being is that I do think we're going to see some significant, if not really decent impact, where you're not the top players are not going to be able to field these marches as consistently, and they're going to have to start going to what you would consider like second string, third string, fourth string marches, and therefore will not have as heavily as an impact because they won't be able to stay out as long using the same marches and using the same exact loadouts, if you will, out in the field for long sustainable periods of time. And so I think that will factor into potential fights and wars being able to really have, to allowing for more of the T5 at lower thresholds and allow for alliances and kingdoms that have more overall activity to potentially benefit a little bit from that. And I don't know if I'm going to say it's going to be an amazing level of benefit, but I do think there will be some. Because now it'll come down, hopefully, I don't want to say come down entirely, but at least a little bit in favor of kind of total activity and total amount of, maxed out heroes, if you will, from the overall amount of players within an alliance and within a kingdom, compared to having a advantage for some of the top players who could just field their best stuff all the time until basically they just drained troops, right? And they never really had to kind of go to other matchups and pairings unless they needed to, or unless they were just out there for however long until they literally were, well, I guess, technically it probably would be out of troops at that point, or if the situation called for switching it up. Aside from that, that's what I think about the situation. I view this as a win. How much of a win will it be? How big of a factor will it impact open field fighting and wars? We'll have to wait and see. But I do think that it is a good step in the right direction. And I would love to know from you, if you're someone out there who fights a lot, how do you view about that? How do you view this? Do you think, no, you know what, it's not really going to impact anything at all? Or no, it could actually have some major implications? And if so, how do you view those implications being had in game? Do you think that it will factor some of the alliances that maybe have more overall activity versus others, or not? Maybe it's just some kind of a gimmick that they're putting in. Let me know what you guys think in the comments down below. That's going to do it for me. As always, until next time, we'll catch you later.